We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living, right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest is Julie Mann, blowing her nose all the way from the UK. It's sniffles time. We are in the fall, after all, with the change of weather. She said she'd like to talk about the importance of self-care and being unapologetically you. Based on her discoveries over her 64-year young lifetime, she believes that self-care is the key to being healthy and happy, and that good habits enable us to sustain it through life's challenges. Julie has worked as an actor for over 40 years in theatre, TV, and radio. And about 25 years ago, she trained as a hypnotherapist, life coach, and EFT practitioner. She also shows men and women how to live healthy, happy, sustainable lives in changing their habits by using cutting edge products to help them age well. When we all like to age well, age wisely, but also not lose our spark or fun for life, right, Julie?
I think that's so important. I love that word sparkle actually, and I think that being playful is so important in whatever we do.
I think it not only keeps us young, but it lightens us up. You know, we get so bogged down with the seriousness of life and the news of life and the next disaster of life that if we've forgotten how to see the joy in life, you know,
Yes,
we slowly start dying really inside.
I agree, and I think that it's our job really to look for the joy
Mm.
rather than look at what's not working or look at the news. Too much news just doesn't do us any good. But I think if we focus on the things that we want rather than things that we don't want, which is bad news, then we're more likely to get more of what we want and become more sparkly.
Yes, well, it's, you know, the law of attraction, right? You know, what you feed is what you get. And
Yeah.
so, you know, be very mindful and soulful on what you are seeding out there, because that's what's going to grow. And so if all you're doing is just misery, misery, and then you wonder why misery is at your door.
Yes, I think lots of people who enjoy complaining like to hang around people who complain.
Yes. Misery loves company.
Yes, absolutely. So, and I think actually for those of us that do like joy in our life and we like to look for win-wins, then we don't really, or at least I don't really want to hang around people who are constantly complaining for very long. I can handle so much of it, but I want more fun in my life, and I want things to work. So hanging around people like that, often things are just really stuck in most areas of their life, I think.
Yeah. I have an 18-month-old grandson, and you know, you can't help but be joyous around him.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's a great reminder as adults to be around children and puppy dogs and kittens, of the simple joys in life. You know, just the discovery of his new little dinky car going down a tube. Woo! You know, and it's like
Yeah.
we look and focus on the complexities of life, but we don't realize actually living is where the simplicities are.
Absolutely. And I think children have that fantastic curiosity for everything, don't they? And
Mm,
they wake up, from the moment they wake up, they're just so curious and want to find out how things work, and everything is so exciting. And at the end of the day, they don't really want to go to sleep because life's so exciting. And
yeah.
we kind of forget what it's like to play, and we forget sometimes what it's like to be curious. And I think that having a sense of curiosity for people, for life, for the things that happen around us, for who perhaps we are, is what keeps things fresh and alive. And I think that's where the joy is, in that childlike curiosity.
Mm. I always say, you know, the wonders of life, let that be your compass. You know, it's I wonder what's around this corner. I wonder what the next day is going to bring, and wonder with you know an excitement and an adventurism. And instead of looking at saying, oh God, what's going to be around the corner, instead, I wonder what's around the corner. And literally changing the chemistry of your brain and your body by your attitude and the way you even speak to yourself.
Yeah, totally. And I live in the UK, and I don't know if it's peculiar to the UK, but definitely there's this huge conversation that goes on around the weather.
Yes, we talked about it just now. Two Brits talking about the weather.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the weather is, whether it's snowing, which happens
Yeah.
very rarely, or it's really hot, which doesn't happen that often either, or whatever. People complain about the weather, but really it's not the weather that's the problem.
Mm.
It's the way we relate to it. And as long as we're prepared for whatever that is, then we can have a great day regardless. So,
Yes.
I think it's just a very, very boring conversation, actually, because the weather's going to do what the weather does.
Well,
And
it's either Willygog time, or a flipper time. you know? Oh God, the darn raincoat's got to come out again. But
yeah,
um,
yeah.
I could still make it to the pub, except for I hear that the beer now is £7 a pint in England.
Oh
I
my
don't
goodness.
know about that, so I can hear there's probably a great deal of complaining going on about that.
Oh, absolutely. But why can't we be splashing in the puddles? Why
Right.
can't we be joyful in the rain? It's our choice. It's always our choice.
Yes, it is. It most certainly is. And there's going to be those times where you feel weighted down. There's something you're going through, there's something that's happening around you, and it's very, very easy to get weighted down by it. But at some point, you've got to go, how many of these weights do I really need to carry? How many of these weights are really important, and how many can I let go and lighten up so I can actually deal with what I need to deal with?
Yeah, and I think sometimes we're carrying someone else's weight. We're taking
Yes.
on someone else's stuff, and we don't need that. And I think it's not about being, positive. Kind of trying to look at everything in that way. But because of course we're going to go through the gambit of emotions in our life. Things happen, stuff happens. We get angry, we get sad, we get hurt. All these things happen, and that's called being human. But we can, as well as perhaps being sad, we can also see the joy in something. And sometimes it's only with hindsight that we can see it. But even when sometimes people are dying,
Yes.
I lost my mum recently this year,
I'm sorry
and
to hear that.
there can be some joy around it too. You
What,
can
what,
be.
take the Queen, for instance.
Yes.
I mean, it didn't matter really whether you're a royalist or not. The admiration for who she was, for
Yeah.
her tenacity, her commitment. I do my own show every week, and I did a little tribute to her, but it was also using her as an example of when you find something. For her, there was no choice. This was her role, but she decided to take it on, full throttle with grace, even though, like in the beginning, she was like, in the dark, not knowing what to do because totally different times and a woman queen and a young one at that. And yet, look at her legacy as somebody from all around the world of all ages. Look at how many people turned up for her funeral procession, and the amount of admiration that she has created. And a lot of that was her sense of joy. I mean, look at the Paddington Bear
Yes.
commercial, and she had a lot of little cheekiness about her. And so she took life seriously. She took her role seriously. She dedicated her life to it. Was it always perfect? No, it was what she could do at the time. But she had that sense of humor to balance things out, and that sense of nature, her horses, her corgis, and balancing it out. I mean, that's the important thing in life. Find something that you really want to be committed to, because it's not a job, it's a joy. And but also make sure that you balance your life out with other things so that it doesn't become too focused on one thing and then become too heavy. It's balanced out with the laughter and joy and even the silliness.
Yeah, I think sometimes I think probably most people are seeking a life of balance, and sometimes things do become a little bit out of balance, and that's it's going to happen from time to time. But trying to restore that balance and lightening up about
Yeah.
things, because really, we none of us know how long we're going to be on this planet. We really have no idea, but often we live like, life's going to last forever. We're going to live till a ripe old age, but we have no idea if the next moment we're not going to be here. And I think, bearing in mind that life really is short,
Yeah,
even
it
if you
is.
live as long as the Queen did,
Yeah.
it still is short. It goes by in
Yeah.
such a flash
And the
that
older you are, the quicker it goes by.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's really, really important to enjoy those moments.
Yes.
And of course, then not every moment is going to be enjoyable, but when we can look for something that's great about the moment, or look back at it and learn from that experience, everything I think happens to teach us something. And if we can look for the learning,
Mm.
then life, I think, can be a joy. And that's something we can grow through our life, and really just keep growing into the person that we've always wanted to be.
Yes, always meant to be. You,
Yeah.
you know, it's happy and healthy. And the thing is, when you are happy, you are healthier,
Yes.
right? And that is an absolute given because it changes the chemistry in your body. It changes your attitude towards whatever your challenge is. Um, and it's that healthy attitude doesn't mean you're not going to get sick.
Yes.
There are things that happen to the human body, but it does mean that that healthy, happy attitude over your health is going to help you heal quicker.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally with you on that. And also, people, I don't know if you hear people, Sarah, who talk about, oh, I always get three colds a year. So, they get three colds a year.
Yeah.
That's what I expect, but when we look at sort of being well and expecting our body to do what it's designed to do, which is to heal, then often it's a much less painful process, and we can, like you say, heal much quicker, because of course stuff is going to happen, and but it's about what we focus on, and
Yeah.
yeah, and trusting that we are actually so much more capable in so many ways
Oh
than
my
we
God, yes.
ever are.
We are most certainly. We sell ourselves short so many times.
Yeah,
I've known so many people who've cured themselves through cancer,
yeah,
through various nutritional avenues, but also through that attitude. I'm only watching funny movies. I'm only going to be around joyful people. I'm only going to be in the happy zone. It doesn't matter how much pain I'm in today or how much I'm struggling. I'm going to watch something that's going to make me laugh. And they've come through it. They've come
yeah.
through it.
I mean, laughter is such a huge medicine,
Oh,
because
huge.
laughter releases endorphins, makes us feel good. It floods the body with those fantastic hormones that actually make us feel good, make us feel well. So, yeah, I mean, I know for some people who might be watching, who might not feel great, who might have something seriously wrong with them, it might be difficult to even get their head around that. But it is possible. Not everyone has healed themselves by laughing through it, but there are people that have and will continue to.
And there are some of us, like myself, that has a condition that will be lifelong. It is just something I have to learn to manage. So what I've done is I've partnered with it. And it's like, a partnership where, well, I really didn't want this marriage, but well, as you're here, let's get some rules straight. And it taps me on the shoulder and it says, you need to rest, or you're overdoing it, or it's my time now, and where it needs to flatten me out for a little bit. And then it also gives me the time to go and do what I love doing and love being, because we have this, cohesive partnership going on. And it's again what you make of it. I don't look at it as the enemy. I don't look at it out to get me. It is just something that happened to me, and it's just a condition that there isn't a cure for. So we learn to live with it. We learn to partner with it, and I respect it, and it respects me. And then you find the balance.
That's brilliant, because it sounds like you're just not resisting it, and what you
Yeah.
resist persists. So
Yes.
if
Yes.
you can work with it, it's very, very powerful.
Much easier.
Yeah.
Than trying to work against it or trying to deny it, or be no woe is me because of it. It is there. It
Mhm.
has its parameters. And as long as I don't go over that, we can live a happy, cohesive life. And I think that is really learning to be in tune to yourself and the whole of you, whatever you are in many different ways. And even if you're a healthy person, Are you listening to your soul? Are you listening to your heart? Are you listening to your spirit? Or are you only in your head all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think I lived really a lot of my life in my head. It almost felt like I didn't have a body at all. Um, but of course I did, and it got me about. But actually, I just, my head was just full of rubbish most of the time, really, stuff that I'd thought many times before. Most of our thoughts aren't original.
No, no, they're recyclable.
Exactly. That computer program that was running, which
Yes.
really, it wasn't making me feel good, and certainly had never heard of self-care.
Mm.
So
That
when,
was actually a luxury only for the rich. Or who do you think you are? Suck it up, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it's a lot to do with who you're brought up around,
Right.
and what you learn when you're younger about self-care, and whether that's important, taking time for you. And but most of us at my age anyway were not taught
No.
to think about ourselves. It was a very selfish
Yes.
thing to do, but actually it's the least selfish thing to do, because as you and I know, when we look after ourselves, then we're much more able to give to others and make a difference. So but it came very late on in my life. I spent most of my life really abusing myself in many ways, with drugs, alcohol, relationships that didn't work. So I was going to say I learned the hard way, but I just learned in the way that I learned. And I'm
But
very,
it's also learning in the environment that you're in.
yes,
And the thing
yes,
is, when you are disconnected from yourself, when you're not living your truthful life and not being your truthful person, um, you're constantly seeking, the way out. It's like the escape room, right?
yes,
And the drugs and the alcohol are the booster or the number,
yes,
to,
yes,
either to get you through it or to just numb it down. I can't take it anymore. So yes, I can relate to that because
yes.
it's we just don't know what to do next.
No. I mean, actually, before drugs and alcohol, it was food.
Mhm.
I became bulimic, and food is a great anesthetic.
Mhm.
Uh, and we've got to eat, so it's easily, it's readily available. And but it could be shopping, or
Yes.
it could be many things. Maybe
Anything
just
you do in excess.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So yeah, so I numbed myself out for a very long time, and and then I learned something else, which really opened so much up for me, and then had me want to share with other people
Yeah.
how to
And then,
take care of
I'm turning 68 next week, so we're a little bit ahead of you, but it was very much of our culture. Still kind of to be seen and not heard as children. And um, you know, if you don't have a good job or a good career, make sure you have a good marriage and the 2.2 children and the whole thing, right? And there was still this delusional expectation placed upon us of what happiness was.
Mm,
And that, what do you mean being happy? You just make do. You've made your bed, lie in it. And it's like, you can unmake your bed. You can even change beds. Why do I have to stay in this bumpy, lumpy bed?
yeah, yeah. I think we're not. Yeah, I think when I was brought up, it was this story that life was that way, and then I found that actually that's not what the way I wanted to live, and I started to be curious about what else was out there, by making lots of mistakes, and learning through doing that. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because as parents, I don't know if you're a parent, Sarah, but
Three grown children,
uh,
grandchild, yes.
yeah, we do our very best, don't we? But
Yes,
we're obviously we're role modeling everything that we do, and children learn by watching us, don't they, and listening to us rather than what we say. They don't necessarily
yes.
believe that we, you know,
Repeat patterning.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But we're all doing our best, and my parents, of course, did their very best, but they didn't have much in terms of resources, because their parents came from
No.
the war. We didn't have much either.
Oh, we
So
didn't until really recently.
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe in the last 20 years, things have changed where the resources are there and people like yourself are stepping forth and leading people, down the happy road. But, 20 years ago, when I was in my rediscovery and coming out of um, um, a very tumultuous marriage and kind of having to redefine and rediscover who I was and heal, right? There really wasn't too much around. And then all of a sudden, the wonderful thing called internet opened things up so
Yeah.
incredibly to other people and other modalities and ways of doing things that we realize that we don't just have to look within our block for the support or the healing, that it's everywhere if we're willing to let our fingers do the walking.
Yeah, and I think it's also about finding your tribe, isn't it? It's
Yes.
the people that talk this kind of language that you want to be talking and listening to. I think that's so important. Um, yeah, and also because as you mentioned, I've been an actor for over 40 years, and because I kind of, as a youngster, kind of escaped into that world of amateur dramatics, and then eventually went to drama college, and then became a professional actor. I found that it was far easier for me to express myself
Mm-hmm.
in that kind of community, and it's a real release for me. And but I also learned that actually I was much better as somebody else.
Yeah.
I wasn't good enough as
Yes.
Julie Williams as I was before I was married. So no, Julie Williams wasn't good enough, but actually whatever character I was playing was much better. And so it wasn't really for a long time that I learned that the best part I could ever play is me in my
Mm-hmm.
own life. And that's why I'm so passionate about working with people so that they can be whoever they want to be, because we all are enough.
That is the point.
Yeah.
You are enough, but when you look at what society dictates from us of what we should be,
Yeah.
how what we should be to be important enough, for other people to like us, other people to revere us. And it's like when you get to that point, it doesn't matter if people like or revere me. Do I like or revere myself? Because that's the important thing.
Yeah, and the other thing is that not everyone's going to like us. We don't
No.
like everybody. That would be ridiculous to
Yes.
think that the whole world would like us. And I think the moment that we actually are able to accept that we don't have to be liked, there's such a huge freedom in that.
Yeah. Yes. A relief.
Such a relief.
Yes.
Such a
Because,
relief.
as Popeye says, I am what I am, and it's like, and I'm enough in who I am. And I love the word flawsome, and drawing the analogy of a broken bowl that the Orientals fix with golden thread. And
Yes.
then it becomes even more valuable, because it's kind of weathered and cracked, but, put back together with wisdom, the gold representing the wisdom. And I love the word flawsome because we can't get through life without developing some flaws or having some flaws, but those flaws can be awesome because they're part of our lesson, our learning into becoming. And this thing about perfection, you can have a perfect moment, a perfect situation, but you can't be a perfect person
No,
because you're never going to be perfect to everybody.
no, of course not.
So why try and do it to yourself?
It's imperfectly perfect, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Um, and I think people are sick of watching, perfection, what's supposed to be perfection, maybe on, on reels or on sort of social
Over
media.
here in North America, the Kardashians, is the
Oh,
image
yeah,
of what perfect should be.
yeah. But actually, what we really want is to be able to relate to people.
Yeah,
We want to be able to be vulnerable, really, don't we? We want to be ourselves. We want to just be who we are and be accepted for who we are. And I think to get to the point where you go, okay, so I'm actually right now I'm not feeling confident, but I'm confident enough to say, right now I'm not feeling confident.
right. Yes.
It's
It's
kind of
being comfortable with
take
yourself.
ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah, take ownership, or
Yes.
say, actually, I'm right now I feel a little bit uncomfortable, but that takes something to do that. to be
Yes.
real, to be, this is, yeah.
As you said in the beginning, unapologetically. Why do we have to apologize for not feeling comfortable in a situation, or not feeling comfortable in ourselves at this moment? We feel that we have to owe it to everyone else to put it, I'll suffer through it because everybody else is happy. Well, why? Why? Because in the end, you're going to pull them down because they're going to notice how miserable you are. And you're just going to resent them for being happy because you're so bloody miserable. So
Yeah,
why put yourself through that?
you can't sustain it, can you? It's
No.
just not, it's just not realistic to think that you can. I think that I actually ran a 5-day challenge and stopped saying yes when you want to say no. 5-day
Mm.
challenge, because I think that it's very easy to say yes rather than no
You
sometimes.
don't want
And
to offend, or you
no,
don't want to appear selfish, or you don't want to be mean, and it's you have every right to say no, not at this time, thank you.
yeah, but I guess it's that fear of rejection, or
Yeah,
that fear that we don't care. If we say no, it means we don't care, or we might lose a job if we say no to the boss.
right.
There are lots of reasons why obviously people say no, but when you can get to a point where you're able to say no and be okay with it, it's fantastic.
And even the way you say no,
Yeah,
no, rather than no,
yeah,
no, thank you,
yes.
no, because that's a definite no, do not pursue. It is absolute.
Or even if it's, right now,
Yeah,
that doesn't work for me, so I'm going to say no.
right.
However, it's, and sometimes somebody might ask you to do something and we're really not sure whether or not it works for us to do it or not. And so I would always say, I actually need to think about that. I'll get back to you by 4 o'clock and let you know, so that that person, has an answer, but also I get really, really clear, because sometimes, I'm a bit, I don't do I I'm not really sure whether
Mm.
that's right for me, whether that actually fits for me. So yeah,
I mean, we still do have an awful lot of people, especially in this particular world of self-care, that are pushy. They're pushing their program, they're pushing this, they're pushing that. And it's like every single thing in life is relationship. And whoever you're going to be working with, you want to have a relationship. You're trusting them with you. And so you want to know that they're not just look at you as another,
a dollar sign or a,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That they're looking at you for you and they're really genuinely interested in helping you. It's not another notch in the belt, so to speak. So it's this is why it's always essential to get to know the person that's offering you the program. That's the reason why I do these shows, so people can get a taste of you, get to
yeah,
feel if they have a connection or a synergy with you, to reach out to you, because we want to know you actually do care and do see me, and
yeah,
don't just see me as next.
yeah, absolutely. I think, well, we're all, I think people have a bit of a fear around the word sales, but we're all selling something, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sometimes we're selling an idea, to a partner. I'd like to go to this film or whatever, or maybe we're selling something that people buy. And I think that it's really important to get into the world of the other person. And I never want anyone to buy anything from me if they don't really, really want it. But I think
Yeah.
if someone has a need for something and I happen to have, something that will solve the problem, then that's a good fit. But
Yes,
actually, it's so, so important. Everything is about
it
relationships,
is.
so, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that um, building relationships takes time.
But first and foremost is, what relationship do you have with yourself? Because again, somebody who's selling something just to sell it, as opposed for somebody who believes in it because they are it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, yes, definitely.
You're
Yeah,
going to go with the person that is the extension of that, whatever that product is, because they use it, they so believe in it, And it isn't about the dollar sign. If it would be so saturated for so long and being ruled by, the money sign that and being feeling just like a commodity rather than a person. And that everybody is just saying, but do you see me?
Yeah.
And do you see what I need? Or, I remember a very good friend of mine trying to pitch fake nails to me. And I had three young children screaming and running around. And like the last thing I wanted was fake nails. And little did I know at the time that she had these wonderful nutritionals in the company. That when I discovered the nutritionals literally changed my life because it changed my health and gave me that energy to run around after three children. But she never thought about those. She was just pitching the nails,
Yeah.
right? And it's like that may be what got you gung ho, but why don't you speak to your client and find out what it is they need and then the product or the program that they need,
Yeah.
not what you think they need, what you
Yes.
know that they need.
I think that's such a great example right there. And the things that we do, they're not right for everybody.
Right.
That would be ridiculous again to think that everyone wants what we've got. But we have to really believe in what we have. And like you're saying, if you are being your product, if you're being, the example of whatever your product does, then people are much more likely to go, yeah, I'd like some of that. But I think
Yes.
it's really about getting, everyone has a choice.
Mm.
And I'd hate someone to say yes to something that I'm promoting and feel, that didn't feel happy about
Right.
the choice that they've made. It's so important.
Now you do hypnosis and EFT, emotional freedom technique, which I love, and the beauty of EFT, it doesn't matter where you are or when you are, you can do it. You're in the car, you're in a stressful meeting, yeah, it's just a wonderful thing that is such a release. But I'm going to let you describe EFT to people who may not know it.
So EFT is a simple tapping technique, and it works by sending a vibration through the meridians. So you don't have to have any belief around meridians, but you tap specific points. I use ones on the face, on the hands, on the collarbone, top of the head, under the armpit. And it's also using language. So it's very much getting feedback from the person that I'm working with. So it's about using their language and offering really the brain an alternative way of thinking, because the brain, like a computer, likes to do what it does. And if you can enable the brain to be curious about another possible way of being, it may take on that suggestion. I don't know if that describes it in a way that
Well, it's repatterning, isn't it?
repatterning
Yeah.
totally.
So
Yeah,
taking the language that's there right now, that I have this pain, I have this pain, I have this pain, or in the anxiety, and then although I have this pain and anxiety, I do not have to, you know, um, immerse myself into it, and then I am free of this pain, and it's the brain recognizing there is another groove they can
yeah,
go to.
yeah,
Otherwise, the brain will, stay in the same cycle, same pattern
yeah.
until you introduce a new pattern. And you have to do it repetitively for that new pattern to take hold and become a new pattern.
Yes, absolutely. And I love it because it can be so playful. And
Yes.
actually, you don't even have to tap the points. You can imagine the points in your mind's eye.
Mm,
Imagine yourself tapping the points and it can still work. So
yeah.
it's very simple. It looks a bit strange, doesn't it,
Yeah.
Sarah? Sometimes people think, how on earth does that work, that funny tapping thing? But it is very, very powerful. I think that's probably the worst way I've ever described it in my life. Anyway.
Well, kind of associated with acupuncture, where
Yeah,
they're putting the needles in on those particular points that then do send messages out,
yeah,
to the rest of the body. And what the tapping does, whether you're, tapping into the side of the eyebrow, under here, the chin, certainly the collarbone,
yeah,
the top of the head, etc. It also kind of becomes quite methodical for you, in a way to do it. But if you are in a meeting, that you can be tapping various things on your hands, and
yeah,
also like the fact that, do I like tomatoes, or do I like rhubarb, and using your fingers. And I have somebody who does this with allergy testing, and it really does work. It's if you can't move the fingers, then you're fine. But if the
Yeah.
fingers open up, then it's telling you there's a reaction to something. And it's
Yeah.
like all of this is there, has always been there. It actually was a man whose wife, I think, was suffering from cancer, and he was on a plane, and he suddenly thought about the meridians and started using it on his wife and cured her from it. And that's how the EFT came about. But it was based on the acupuncture releasing of the chi, the energy in the body. But it's such a simple process to use anytime, anywhere, no matter what your stress level is or just stuck on something.
Yes, absolutely. And it is an experiential thing. So in a way, hearing about it will not make the difference. It's about experiencing it.
Yes.
And talking about relationships, the first time I ever had some, I went to see a therapist that I thought I was going to go and have some hypnotherapy personally. And I met this woman I hadn't met before, and I really didn't feel connected to her at all. And she said, "Oh, I've just got this new technique. It's called the EFT, and can I use it on you?" And I was like, "Okay." And I just didn't get it. I didn't know what she was doing, and I just anyway, and and I wasn't sure I liked it. But then I wasn't in rapport with her because it was about that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few months later, a very good friend of mine had gone to see someone in London, and she had an issue for years and years, and this woman had used EFT with her, and that issue had disappeared. And my friend is a very dear friend, and I trust her. She's very wise, and I just thought, and she said to me, I think you need to go and have a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was the practitioner. And I went along, and it was a completely different experience. So, what
Again,
you
back to that vibration connection, right?
yes,
Yes.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. Someone needs to resonate with you and yeah, get into your world. Whereas
Yes.
really, this other woman just wanted to practice her thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Again, the disconnect, right?
yeah,
And it's important, that connection, because you are uh, uh, giving your vulnerability to someone in trust. And if you're not connected on the same vibe, on the same frequency, it is a disconnect, and then feels more like an intrusion than it does a help. Hypnotherapy. Uh, a lot of people have tried to hypnotize me and it didn't work. I think it's just maybe my spiritual blockage, I'm not sure. But I had a daughter that was terrified of the night, and she would be by my bed every night. And through the day, she was bossy and, really very, very strong and courageous. But at night in the dark, even if you left the light on, she was terrified. And so I eventually took her hypnotherapist, and we discovered about 3 past lives where she had been abandoned in the dark. And we told her that is no longer with her, it's released. And that when she kind of came around, I said, well, you no longer need to be afraid, because that belonged to someone else, and you're safe with us. And she started sleeping in her room with the light on, and then the light off, and no problem whatsoever after that. So hypnotherapy is really a wonderful thing for many different reasons:
yeah.
releasing of past lives, releasing of traumas, or just again repatterning people into a different type of mindset. So how do you use it?
Well, the reason I actually had hypnotherapy to start with was because so I was doing. I don't know if you have IKEA
Yes,
in
yes, we have
yeah.
IKEA over
So
here in North
I
America.
was a voice of IKEA for many years, and I used to do a 5-day voiceover stint for them. And on this particular occasion, I was pregnant with my daughter Katie, and I started to do the voiceover, and then I suddenly had this kind of rush that came over my body. And it was obviously, in hindsight, it was the hormones, but I didn't think about that at the time. And in that moment, I was rendered speechless. And although it probably only lasted seconds, it felt like an eternity, and it scared me that much. I had this thought, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen again. And then, of course, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So
Mm,
every time I went into a voiceover studio, I'd have a little blip at the beginning. I'd always do something they loved, and they'd always ask me back, but I'd have this initial blip. And actually it got to the stage where, but even before the voiceover, days before the voiceover would happen, I would be really scared. And in the end, I thought, I need to do something about this. So I went to see a hypnotherapist, not thinking it would ever change anything. And working with her, we shifted that. And I was so sort of gobsmacked that that had
Mm.
happened that I thought, wow, if someone could do that for me, what if I could do that for someone else? So I
Yeah.
trained as a hypnotherapist. And then I found life coaching EFT. And what I like is using, so I have some hypnosis downloads and things, but also I do the EFT and the life coaching with clients. And I like the combination of life
Yeah.
coaching and EFT because life coaching, as you know, is all about asking great questions, and hypnosis is about giving instructions.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's very playful, the combination of life coaching and EFT. And being playful is very important to me.
Yes, exactly. We don't realize we carry things around with us and we just don't know why this is in our way, or what is stopping me from doing this, or why this thought constantly come up in my head. I had the brick wall for so long, it didn't matter. I couldn't get over it, around it, under it, obliterated. And it turned out to be 172 past lifetimes that needed to be removed, and which was done through the pendulum and then suddenly no brick wall, just an open space. And now it's taking that step without all of those kind of residual impressions from past lives being there. We don't know what's holding us back, whether it's past life, whether it's our own DNA, for parental DNA, because very often we pass on fears and anxieties to our children, and then they have it and they don't know why they have it. What have they got to be anxious about? But they are. And so the interruption with it, or the releasement of it through hypnosis, to realize it's not yours, you can let it go. And with the EFD of repatterning, you can really take somebody out of a situation where they feel the claws are in on them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're releasing the clamps and saying, no, that's not my issue. I can release it and I can, really take the path forward that I want to take, or I can even see the path forward,
Yeah.
which I couldn't see before. So a lot of people don't realize how impactful it is to release things, because you
Absolutely.
have no idea what's holding you back half the time.
No, no. And I think sometimes we don't need to know what's
Mm,
holding us back. It's about starting with that willingness to let it
yes.
go, to find a way, because we know that there's
Yeah.
more for us. And we can't have the more without letting go of, some of those stuck patterns. And we can all get stuck at some point in our life. And it's okay to be stuck. But it's much more pleasurable to be released from that and yeah, create something new. So
And sometimes we become complacent over things,
yeah,
right? Oh, it's just easier. I just, give in. And it's like, well, are you just giving in, or are you actually stuck and don't realize that the clamps are on you, that something is on you, that you need to release so that you can actually see a path forward, out of that complacency?
yeah.
And
Well, there's a payoff, isn't there? There's a
mm,
payoff to,
yeah,
we get out, we don't have to do certain things.
right,
If we have that thing, we don't have to make those social engagements, and people won't expect, and we can get some sympathy and we can get some attention and we can get, sometimes it might seem a bit perverse, but actually, we do things for all sorts of reasons. And there is always a very good reason why, um, unless there's a medical condition, why we hang on to weight, or why
right.
we are always late, or there's always something behind that behavior. Yeah,
It's recognizing that there is something there and then finding a way to release it. And
yeah.
then in that reprogramming, that repatterning of the mind is to say, it's okay to have laughter in your life. It's okay to, silly billies, to go and do something that you've never done before and not be worried about if you make a fool of yourself.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And I also think things like, we wake up, we get out of bed the same side, we go and clean our teeth with the same hand, even just switching it up and changing hands, or
Yes.
standing on one leg, or just, you know, um, crossing to the other side of the street, you know, to changing our route. I think even those little things, they do make a difference. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've walked down a street many, many times, and then one day gone, oh, wow, I've never seen that building, but it's been there since before
Yes.
I was born.
Yes. Yeah. No, but it is, and I think this is when, people say to me, I just don't know how to get unstuck, or I don't know how to connect with my heart, which I get a lot of. And I say, then you need to go out into nature. The rustle of the leaves with the wind through the trees is speaking to you. It's not speaking to your mind, it's speaking to your heart and soul. The laughter of the children, or watching a puppy dog chasing a stick, or, the ocean up against the shore, just being immersed in nature and all that joy around you, it will penetrate that heart and it will open it up. And so many people have shut their hearts down because it's been broken, it's been damaged, they can't trust again. But if you don't live with an open heart, you cannot channel any wisdom. You can't be guided because that heart needs to be open, and you're simply not living if you're not in heart.
Yeah, oh, I agree, and I think that nature is a great leveler, isn't it? It
Yeah.
really puts things into perspective. And I think that we can just become human doings rather than human beings. And when we can get out into space, I mean, even if it's just breaking from being at the computer and just walking around the block, it will change our state and, get things moving, obviously, but also have us see things slightly differently when we get back to the computer. I think it's so, so important to just spend some time just being.
Yeah.
And in nature is great.
For me, I'm not the grandma who has the house. Everyone comes to me because everybody's scattered. So I'm the traveling grandma. So, I go to my daughter and my grandson, and she's expecting another one. And I have another daughter here, and I have another son with a stepdaughter over there. And so I take so many days out of the month where, I work solidly here, and then I take those days out and I have a dose of my grandson and a dose of my kids. And it's rejuvenating. It kind of reminds you who you are, and then you can bring yourself back to what you do. And I think it's important to do something that is a break in the routine and that reminds you of why you're living, because it's so easy to get caught up in the same old thing every day. Have something that reminds you why you're here.
Yeah. And I think, if you surround yourself with people who, are on the same wavelength and appreciate the joy of life, then it's going to really, really help with that. Because like you say, it's easy to get bogged down with the day-to-day, the humdrum. I mean, there are things that in life that we have to do, like the washing up and our house has to be cleaned, and certain things that we don't perhaps want to do that have to be done, but we can bring some joy to that task if we relate to it differently.
Yeah, put on "We Are the Champions" while you're dusting the house, dance yourself silly. Or I used to, with my kids, if they were getting on my nerves, I'd start singing opera and they'd do anything to shut me up, And it's just, remind yourself sometimes that, you don't have to stay in this rigidity. And it's, my parents' generation, which I'm sure yours, and I live with a wonderful 89-year-old, and it was always, no, you mustn't do that. You might make a fool of yourself. Or you mustn't do that. You might embarrass yourself. And I've just written my memoir. And when I first announced it to my mother and sister when she was alive, was, oh God, you're going to wash your dirty linen in public. And it's like the fear of what other people would think, stop them from doing anything.
Yes.
And it's like, obviously there's a certain amount of decorum and there's certain boundaries to what you are going to do and not do, right? But, we maybe not streak down the road, maybe don't take it that far, but,
Yeah.
I get you there. You can have fun without the extremes, and you can still own it and be proud of it. And you have no control of what people's opinions are going to be. None. And if you're tied to that, of what other people will think of you, then you are never going to do anything. So
Yeah.
it is really by your own compass. What do I think of myself?
Mm.
And live by that code of conduct.
And I can't think of anything worse than getting to the end of my life and looking back and thinking, if only I'd done
Yeah.
this, regretting that. It's yeah, life's too short to be having regrets. Of course, there are things that we can look back on and think, well, maybe that wasn't a good idea, or could have done that differently. We can't change anything about the past, but we do have a say in now, and and our future. So, but the best place to be really is in the now, isn't it? In this
Yes.
present moment. That's why it's called the present, because it's
Yeah.
like
The
here.
gift of the present is in the now. Yeah. And what you see now today is what's going to grow tomorrow. So,
Yeah,
give it your
yeah,
all today. And, I think it's also looking at things are going to happen to you. And,
mm,
and if you change it, it's happening for me. What am I meant to discover about myself? The courage, the strength, the abilities, things that I mean, look at how many times people go, I did this, but I never knew I could do that. And it's only because a situation came up that put them in that position for them to do that. And they go, well, gosh, if I can do that, what else can I do?
yeah,
Right. And it's because we sold ourselves short and
yeah,
something happened to us that we had to see ourselves through. So it
yeah.
became for us in that discovery of how much more we really are.
Yeah, it's that overcoming, isn't it? That
Yeah.
constantly, if we overcome things, that's when we really, really fall in love with ourselves. When we
Yes.
actually we do what it takes, even though it's been hard. It's not that all the good stuff. Of course, you remember the good stuff, but it's what shapes our character is doing the stuff, getting through the stuff, despite the
Mm.
challenges. Yeah.
And sometimes what we think is kind of a biggest failure. I mean, I've just written my memoir and kind of I've written it from an observing point of view. And it's like, God, Sarah, what took you so long? You saw the writing on the wall, but your sense of loyalty or duty said, no, 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 I must give it more time. I must, give it more of a chance. And really, if you were talking to yourself from now, it would be, for God's sake, move on. Right? So there was a lot of wasted years on that. But everything led me to what I'm doing now, which is 10 and a half years of podcasting. And I've met awesome people like yourself that have stepped up through your own life experiences to help other people re-experience their life in a more positive way. And so, for me, whatever led me here was worth it because I am now doing and being who I really was always meant to be. And I think that's the thing. Don't resent the path or the journey, however
No,
hard it is. Look at where it's led you to. And are you
exactly.
truly loving who you are and what you're doing today? Because then
Yeah,
the journey was worth it.
yeah. I don't think anything is wasted. And I so often hear people say, they wasted their life being married to so and so. And I think, it's there's no such thing. I don't always say it to them, but I think that we meet people
Yeah.
because we need to learn whatever we need to learn and grow from. And people come to us at the time they're meant to teach us those things. And
Yes.
we're all teaching each other, and that's the great that's what's so great about life and about people, the people in this world. We've all got something to teach, and
And something to learn. And the best teachers are those that have had the greatest lessons,
absolutely, yeah.
right? So, would you do hypnosis had you not had that experience? Would you do FT
No.
if you hadn't been willing to go back and try again? Would you be doing the meditation things that you're doing and the releasement had you not realized the impact of it? And it's because of your own journey and what it did to you
Yeah,
that now you are wanting to help others experience it so for what it can do to them. And you have no control of what it does for them,
no,
right? It because
no,
they're going to experience it differently to you.
yeah, absolutely. And I think actually we I think even something like as maybe as inoffensive as a smile can
Yes.
really have huge impact on people. You just never know when someone needs a smile, and what's going on for them and what difference that might make to
Yes,
them.
an acknowledgement. I see you. Hi, how are you today?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think also to remember our tone.
Our
Uh,
tone.
our tone is very, very important
Yes.
because
Yeah.
you could be in a bad mood and you're buying a coffee and that poor barista has got to settle you with your tone. And
Mhm.
it's, it's why you're imposing it upon them.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you look at them and they're frazzled. They've got orders up the yin yang. And it's, just acknowledge them. Having a hard day, love, don't worry, it's going to slow down. The line will get shorter, I promise you. And just acknowledge them. Because really, I think for an awful lot of people in life, they just feel unseen.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yes, and it's our job to acknowledge, really, I
It
think.
certainly is. And by
Yeah.
first and foremost acknowledging what we are, who we are and what we can do for other people. So you have various programs here. You've
Yeah.
the Habit Fixer Facebook community, tips for living a healthy, happy life. You've got free MP3s, Stress Buster download. You have a
Yeah.
YouTube channel. You've got the book, The Healthy Habits Discovery Call, so people can do a discovery call before they have to jump in. Green Gut Glow, which, yes, people don't realize how much the gut has an influence on your whole well-beingness. And derm results, age well skincare, super calm set, healthy habit shift, 30-day gut reset, and ready in 5 makeup. So people can all find this on your site, which is
Which it's on my link tree. So yeah.
so Linktree, folks, is LINKT dot no, TR
Yeah. Dot.
dot EE// Julie Kim Mann, and Mann is double N. And you can find all of her programs there. But of course, you are also on Facebook. You're on Instagram, you're on LinkedIn, and I said you have the YouTube channel. Your Twitter wasn't working, so I don't know if you're on Twitter or
No, I'm
not.
not using Twitter. Not
Okay,
using.
right. So so people can reach out to you in any way. They can follow. And also they can, do that 30-minute call. You have gracefully given people an MP3, the Stress Buster, to download and to experience, and so people can see how that works for them. And so it is, it is they've listened to this and it is something that they can reach out and just say, okay, I want that call. I want to know what you can do for me. And you've got various things that you can do for people, and no matter where they are in their life.
And if anybody just wants to ask a question, then
Mhm.
please just reach out and ask me. I'd be all happy to answer.
I mean,
Maybe maybe I can help you, maybe I can't, but
yeah,
reach
and
out.
one doesn't know until you actually reach out and try, right? That's the important thing. And and we didn't get to talking about the gut buster, but um, I had this wonderful woman on for 5 years with Wise Health, her own channel, and she called herself Snake Oil Woman because back in the 60s, anything like this alternative, she was considered that, and she was in her 80s. She was wonderful, and but she, talked about the liver, the colon, and the kidneys are the most important organs in the body, because if they're failing the rest of the body that it supports. And we have no idea how much work our gut goes through. And if our gut is in distress in any way, it throws distress out throughout the body. So that's a very important one. And if anybody's got any gut issues, they need to reach out to you. And you've got the skin ready in 5. How many people don't know how to do that? Because it's, oh, it takes too much time. No, if you've got a right system, you can do it quickly. So you've got lots of beautiful different things to offer people. And I think only through kind of booking that discovery call and having a chat with you, are they going to know what you need to do to help them with what their problem is or what their situation is.
Absolutely.
So it is, I'm going to repeat it again for you folks. It's link tr.ee, so it's Linktree, but it has a dot in it, // Julie Kim Mann, and double N on the Mann. And you can reach out to her there and you can book your appointment. And she's got everything there. You can go through and have a look at it all and see what she's got to offer. And they simply book a call and have a chat and see whether it fits. She is in the UK, but you're virtual. You can work with anybody anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Do not let distance get in your way. There is no distance in this world. We connect with everyone everywhere. So Thanks so much, Julie, for sharing today. And I think, the most important message that we've left with everyone today is that it doesn't matter what we're going through or how hard life can feel sometimes, inject some laughter, inject some joy into it, because when we find that laughter, not only is it healing and releasing, but it reminds us the beauty of life. And sometimes we forget that, don't we?
Yes, we do. Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So, folks, remember, happy and healthy, they go hand in hand. Hypnosis and EFT, two beautiful programs. And the EFT is something, once you've learned how to do it, you can do anytime, anywhere, under any situation. It's absolutely perfect. And gut health is very, very important, and everything else that she's got to offer there. So, please reach out to her, book a call. We all need some help along the way. Why try suffer doing it on your own when there's people there to help you? And we want you to be abundant. So step into your own abundance by receiving the help. Until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.